Parshas Ki Teitzei Shishi. Okay, the Aliyah starts off. Ki yikach ish isha, when a man takes a woman chadasha, a brand new wife, lo yotze batzav, he doesn't go out to the army, v'lo yavar alav l'chol davar, and he's not obligated in anything involved in the army. So the way it worked is there'd be a war, everybody would gather together, and the Kohen Gadol would list different types of people who were exempt from coming out to fight. The main person that we wouldn't want in our army is someone who did an avera, a sinner, right? That's not a good way to have shmira on the army, but we don't want to embarrass anybody either. So the Kohen would list a bunch of different people. If you built a house but you never lived in it, if you planted a vineyard but you never got to eat from it. But here the pasuk specifically mentions a newlywed. So what is different with this pasuk and the list that I just mentioned that the Kohen Gadol speaks out before a war? So the Rashi says that this is specifically talking about it's not just going out to war, but the people who are exempt from war, from that list that I mentioned, they actually have to provide food and water. They have to maintain roads and bridges, if they have bridges. They have to take care of things back at home to keep the war effort going, so to speak. But this pasuk, Rashi says, is coming to tell us that a newlywed, he's exempt even from that. And the Ramban says, how does Rashi know that? Where did Rashi get that from? Because the pasuk says, "V'lo yavar alav." He's not obligated in anything. He's not supposed to be in charge of the soldiers. He's not supposed to be in charge of roads, food and water. Nothing. He's specifically supposed to go home and be happy with his wife. Another topic in the Saliyah is Hishamar Benega Tzaras. You have to watch the Tzaras, and the pasuk goes on to mention that you should do everything that I've commanded. You should do everything according to what the Kohanim and the Leviim tell you to do. So we've already had this in Vayikra. We had Tazria, Mitzara, we had Parshias on these halachas. So why is it mentioned here again? So the Ramban says that in Vayikra we learned the rules stam. Those are for everybody, including the Kohanim and the Leviim. But this pasuk specifically on you, the individual. The Kohanim, they don't need another reminder. Kohanim's rizimim, we know that already. They take care of their obligations right away. But for us, you have to. The pasuk comes specifically. Do whatever the Kohanim and Leviim tell you to do. Don't be afraid to come forward and say, "I'm infected with tzaras," or "I think I have tzaras." And the very next pasuk says, Miriam, remember what Hashem did to Miriam. Rashi says it's good advice, right on the heels of tzaras, which of course we know you get for speaking Lashon Hara. You get good advice. Don't be like Miriam. Remember, Miriam spoke Lashon Hara and she got tzaras. And the Ramban disagrees a little bit with Rashi, and he says, no, I think here it's an asay. It's a positive mitzvah. Before it was a lois asay not to speak Lashon Hara. Here it's an asay. Don't speak Lashon Hara. And he proves it by saying, listen, we had Zachar Shem Shabbos Lakatroi, Zecher Yitzias Mitzrayim, and in the next aliyah we'll have Zecher Amalek. Whenever he uses the word Zachar, that's an aseh, he says. And he says, think about it. What did Miriam do? Miriam was a Neviah, a Tzadekis. She was a holy woman. And who did she speak about? Her brother Moshe, who she cared about. She stayed in the river watching what would happen to him. And who did she say the Lashon Hara to? To another tzaddik, Aaron. She didn't say it in public. She obviously didn't say it to embarrass Moshe. And the pasuk is coming specifically to tell us, still, all these chusim that Miriam had, that wasn't enough to save her. We have to be careful not to speak Lashon Hara